Hello, my name is Adeshola Akintola. I'm one of Baba Adebambo's children, and I'm going into his residence to have a talk with him and interview him about his life. Uh, yeah, so we'll be going through his life history and everything that he's done, his career, his passion, and everything with him. So come along with me, and thank you.
Àní wọ́n kéré sí nọ́mbà wa, wọ́n kéré sí nọ́mbà bàbá, wọ́n kéré sí nọ́mbà wa, àwọn ọmọdé wọ̀nyí kéré sí nọ́mbà wa.
Wọ́n kéré sí nọ́mbà wa, wọ́n kéré sí nọ́mbà wa, wọ́n kéré sí nọ́mbà wa, àwọn ọmọdé wọ̀nyí kéré sí nọ́mbà wa.
Àní wọ́n kéré o, wọ́n kéré o, wọ́n kéré sí nọ́mbà wa, wọ́n kéré sí nọ́mbà wa, àwọn ọmọdé wọ̀nyí kéré sí nọ́mbà wa.
Wọ́n kéré sí nọ́mbà wa, wọ́n kéré sí nọ́mbà wa, wọ́n kéré sí nọ́mbà wa, àwọn ọmọdé wọ̀nyí kéré sí nọ́mbà wa.
We are in the residence of Saliu Akintola Adebambo. I am one of his many children. Yeah, I have an older brother and many younger siblings. But I would like Baba to introduce himself. So, Baba, please introduce yourself to our viewers.
Chief Alhaji Chief Salihu Adetola Adebambo, the Baba Alhaji of Idowa and the Balogun of Idowa.
Thank you, sir.
Olórí ẹbí Àríjẹlóye.
Wow. So, thank you so much for the introduction. Tell us a bit about your childhood, when you were born, where you were born, into what family were you born into?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
In the year 1940, to be exact, 22nd June 1940, I was born into Adebambo family. Of course, Adebambo is a good citizen. I was born at Aga, my mother's residence at that time. Mama was always in her father's house working there. So the day I was born, she told me she was preparing cassava for gari. So, and it happened I was born that day, anyhow.
Yeah.
Idowa here, 22nd June 1940, into Adebambo's family. My father, by name, Alpha Abubakar Aboduni Adebambo. And my mother was Yasuno Awusitu Oladunni Adebambo. Of course, the father was Adeleye Sadiku Adeleye. Well, if I'm to trace my father's background, my father was from Adebayo Alebiosu of Igodo.
Okay.
Adebayo Alebiosu begot Adebambo and so many other children. Adebambo Sulaiman was one of the children, and my own father was the son of Adebambo Sulaiman of Igodo. Some people feel we are from Iloye. No, Iloye is not our father's home. Iloye is our father's mother's home. Our father's home was Igodo. That building is still there, which we renovate. It renovated some years back. I'm drinking a borehole there right now. So that is my father's home in Igodo. My mother's home is at Aga. My mother is from the royal family of Arijeloye. His father was called Sadiku Adeleye Omoba. They usually call him Omoba because he was from the royal family of Arijeloye, and he even became the Olori Ebi Arijeloye, the title which I'm holding now. My grandfather had it in his own time. And my mother didn't go to any school. She didn't attend a Quranic school like my father. My father was a Quranic scholar, and that's why they call him Alpha. So, but as for my mother, she learned so many trades. She could weave mat. She could prepare cassava. She could prepare cassava to become a gari, cassava to become fufu. If you talk of a raffia bag, my mother was there. Raffia mat, she was there. She was very, very industrial woman.
Yes.
Very, very industrious. And right from my infancy, she took me up as the firstborn. In fact, I would say that all the activities which people know me for were from my mother's hard work, because all the work which the women were doing, my mother would force me that I would do it. For example, grating of cassava.
So you used to use hand to
grate cassava.
There was no
machine,
mill.
no mill at that time.
All right.
So my mother would give me one bench. She would take another bench and would ask me to be doing it like that. You would grate the cassava. When it comes to frying of the cassava, my mother would ask me to sit near her. If she's going in to do something, come and take over and be doing it. So I could fry a gari, I could grate cassava, fufu, whatever. So that was my background.
Yeah.
Right from around 4 years, I was already being employed into housework like that. And my father, his own policy was that I should attend the Quranic school as from the age of 4. Whether I liked it or not, I would attend the Quranic school, and I am going to help Mama at home.
Yeah. So if I can come in there, because I met Mama, I didn't meet your dad.
Father, yes.
So I didn't meet my grandfather. But I was still growing when Mama was still alive.
Yes.
And as industrious as she was, she would take us to her farm. I think she had Orobo farm. She had that's bitter cola. She had Obi. What's Obi?
Cola.
Cola.
Cola
Cola.
nut.
Cola. Yes, she had the farm. She would take us. We have to harvest with her. So that I can testify to her industriousness and melon, all these things. She was into it.
Yes.
So
Thank
that-
you very
that's-
much for
yeah.
reminding me of some of our
So,
activities.
yes,
Very, very
yes,
industrious.
yes.
Up to her
Mm.
old age, she was very, very industrious.
Okay, so you were mentioning Aga, Igodu, and
Iloye.
Iloye. Can you tell us a bit about that? This is Idowa. We know Idowa as our town. But what is Aga? What is Iloye? What is all this?
Thank you. There are 4 quarters in Ido.
Yeah.
The 4 quarters are Aga, Igudu, Iloye, Ipebi Okeshoko. These 4, if you divide Ido into 4 places, there are 4 quarters there. So, out of the 4 quarters, I can say that I'm related to all the 4 quarters
Wow.
by birth. My mother was from this place. My father also was from this place. My mother is related to Aga, her birthplace, her father's place.
Yeah.
She's also related to Ipebi Okeshoko, her mother's birthplace. Ipebi.
Yeah.
If you talk of Alaka, Ajayis in Ipebi, that's the picture of my grandmother there. So they are the same father, Ajayi.
Wow.
From Ajayi ni Mama Yo.
Wow.
So her husband,
Mm.
that is my mother's father,
Mm.
is from the royal family. And he was resident in Aga, British house there. So those are 2 quarters. The 3rd quarter is Igudu. Igudu, my grandfather, Adebushu, Adebushu was my great grandfather. Adebushu, native of Igudu, born there, lived there. His son, Adebambo Sulaiman, also born in Igudu, lived there. And my own father, the son of Sulaiman Adebambo, was also born in Igudu and lived there part of his life. After marrying the first wife and having about 2 children, there were family disputes that he decided to leave Igudu for Iloye, his mother's birthplace. He went to his mother's birthplace. I was born when he had moved to Iloye. But my brother, senior brother, Alhaji Are Adebambo, was born at Igudu when they were still in Igudu. So those are the 4 quarters in Ido.
Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. We want to know your early years of education. By privilege, because I'm your second child, I know that out of the story we've heard that you had to baptize to be able to access Western education. Can you put us through that? Tell us more about that.
Thank you. Well, my first attempt at school was in the year 1946, when I was about 7 years or so. But after spending about 2 terms in the school, I had an accident, so I had to go back home and remain at home for about 2 years. I went back to school in 1948. So at that time, when we started schooling, the system was that in the elementary school, you had to read Infant 1A, Infant 1C, Infant 1B, Infant 1A. From Infant 1A, you will promote to Infant 2. From Infant 2, you will promote to Standard 1, Standard 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's the end at that time of the elementary education. So when I went back to school in 1948, I was, instead of starting again in Infant 1C, they asked me to start in Infant 1B because I had spent some time, and in fact 2 years had gone. So I started schooling in Infant 1B. After Infant 1B, I didn't read Infant 1A. I was promoted to Infant 2.
Oh, wow.
So from Infant 2 to Standard 1, 2, 3, 4. At that time, St. Peter's School, Idowa, which is our school. The school was merged with the St. Peter's School, Ala. So there are 2 St. Peter's School, St. Peter's School, Idowa, St. Peter's School, Ala. So the arrangement was that we will start the elementary education from Idowa. When we get to Standard 3, the senior primary school, we will move to Ala, and there we are going to read Standard 3, Standard 4, 5, and 6 before we finish it. So in my own case, I read up to Standard 2 at Idowa before I got promoted to Ala, St. Peter's Primary School, Ala. There I read Standard 3, 4, 5. That time in 1954, the government wanted to change the education policy. So they were trying to reduce the number of years to be spent in the elementary school.
Yeah.
So, and one of the first set they started the program with in 1954. Those of us who were in Standard 5, we had to take the same final examination with those who are in Standard 6.
Wow.
So, a lot of us, in fact, out of about 24 of us in Standard 5, only 5 passed.
Yeah, because you weren't prepared for,
At all,
for
at
the
all,
exams.
at all. It was even when we got to Standard 5 that they just started the idea. Maybe our second term, they said the idea that this year you are going to leave the school, you are going to take the same examination with those who are in Standard 6. So we weren't prepared for the thing.
Yeah.
However, only 5 of us passed out of about 54 or 5 of us in the class. I was one of those who failed.
Oh,
So,
that must have been discouraging for
well,
all many people, you know.
definitely, some of us had to leave,
Mm.
but those of us who were ready, they started the primary education from our set. So if we had passed, we would take standard 6 certificate.
Okay.
Now that those of us didn't pass and still want to remain,
Progress, yeah.
our own examination will be primary 6. So I'm one of the first set of primary 6 in 1955.
Wow.
So, and another coincidence was that Idowa that year decided that they're going to separate from Allah. They won't allow their children to go to Allah for senior primary again. So that's how the agitation started,
Okay.
and eventually it succeeded.
Yeah.
So those of us who were from Idowa, we were retained in Idowa as the first set of primary 6 of St. Peter's School. I happened to be one of the school prefects. That time I was holding 2 posts, the school janitor and the class prefects.
Oh, wow.
So at Idowa here, in fact, it was when we were in that primary 6 that I began to realize that I could do well in education. Before that time, I even wouldn't say that I was in school. I knew almost nothing about what we were doing in the school.
In the school.
But by the grace of God, we had a headmaster who liked me so much, by name Mr. Afolonshaw. He's from Dushelu. So, in fact, very fond of me, always calling me. I was living at Iloye that time, that house that is opposite Iloye Mosque,
Okay.
now upstairs.
Yeah.
That was where our father was living, and all of us born from my own line. So, and the mission yard, the St. Peter's mission yard,
Yeah.
where the head teacher was living, was so close to us. She just look outside the gate and say,
I call your name.
so, my prefect. And the people in our house will say, okay. So, and that's, so he was the first person to encourage me to begin to feel that I would likely do well in education. Either to the Quranic school was our major focus.
Yes.
Our father was so passionate about Quranic education that we were just going to school as they asked us to go to school, and we were going. And in addition, the burden at home was so much for me.
Yeah.
I couldn't do well in education. I was not failing in classroom, but I won't say I'm one of the brilliant children in our school, because morning before you go to school, you must first of all go to Quranic school.
What times does school start?
8 o'clock.
So you have to go to Quranic school before 8.
8 before 8.
Wow.
When you are hearing the bell
Yes.
for the school opening, you will run quickly. And in fact, if you have worn your school uniform, you just run to the school and like that. And when you finish in the school, compulsorily you must go to Quranic school again.
That in the afternoon.
And Mama will be targeting that If I have 1 hour or so, I will go and fetch water
for her.
for her, or follow her to the farm to go and bring firewood and something like that. Or even during weekend, not free. During weekdays, not free. I was, in fact, and the school will be giving us assignment like
Homework.
when you are not homework, written homework like this was not very common in what they were giving us. Homework tomorrow when you are coming to school, you must bring 5 bamboo sticks. When you are coming tomorrow, bring a rope that we're going to use to make fence. When you are coming tomorrow, you must fetch water to the school. Things like that. So after school, you'll be running that you have to go to Quranic school.
Yes.
And the assignment they give you in the school, maybe tomorrow you are going to make basket, so you must provide
The
palm fronts
Yes.
that you are going to use for the basket. Or if it is broom you are going to make, you must bring broomsticks already prepared. So we were so busy,
Yeah.
had almost no time to play.
No.
Very, very busy. So, but luckily when I attended the primary education,
You passed it.
the primary 6 examination, I passed. And at that time, nobody cared whether, of course, the mission school, that is St. Peter's School, we were being taught the Bible knowledge, catechism, words catechism, anything. Those days I could read words catechism from memory from cover to cover. Being that we were going to Quranic school, we knew how to memorize things.
Yes, memorize.
So when in the school, they give us a Bible passage to memorize, or the songs of praise, or whatever,
It was
whether Christian or you have
It was
you have the ability to memorize.
Yeah.
To the extent that in the elementary school they were doing competition, Bible competition among schools. Idowa, Ososa, Ibefun, Omu, and so on. We were doing Quranic school. Those of us who were going to the Quranic school were always at the forefront when they were going to the Bible quiz.
Okay.
They are going to give
Yeah,
us, because whatever they say, we will memorize everything. By the time we go for any competition,
You are winning it.
we are going to win it. So that was the situation back. So, but nobody, as at that time, forced us to baptize.
Okay.
We were just being taught all these things like normal school scheme of work. So, but the idea of baptism, which you mentioned,
Yes.
occurred after my modern school days.
Okay.
After elementary school, I had no money. My parents were not rich enough, and in fact, they were not having that as a focus for
Into
their
education.
children.
Yeah.
You just have to become an alpha, read the Quran, and know the meaning, and so on. So that was the focus of our own parents. But I couldn't go to secondary school. However, as at that time, government was introducing what they call modern school. Modern school was a 3-year program meant for those who leave primary school and had no money to go and are not rich enough to go to secondary education or are not brilliant enough to pass entrance examination into secondary school. So if you are brilliant, your parents don't have money to
It's
pay.
still the same.
And the whole of Ijebu here, we have, I think about, in our own days when I was leaving elementary school, I can remember we have about 3 secondary schools in the whole of Ijebu here.
Wow.
We had Ijebu the Grammar School, Muslim College,
Mm.
and Adeola
Odutola College.
Odutola.
Was there not a private secondary school?
No.
It was government.
Well, Adeola started as a private
Private
secondary school,
Okay.
but later
The
became a
government.
government took it over. So I had to go to modern school. My father insisted that apart from I should continue with my Quranic education and learn tailoring.
Okay.
He arranged with our cousin at Ijebode that I will come and learn tailoring. And there I will continue to advance in Quranic education. The modern school has started a year earlier.
Okay.
Some of our colleagues who couldn't go to a secondary school,
Mm.
in fact, the whole lot of us who finished elementary school here, you can see maybe only one person go to
Secondary.
a secondary grammar and school. So the rest of us, those who are still eager to learn, may go to modern school, or else you go and find jobs, so or learn trade.
Mm.
So my mother heard of the modern school and asked me whether I was interested. I said, I like to read further. Said, but my father will never give you a cover for that kind of education anymore.
Mm.
I said, I know, because my senior brother finished standard 6
And that was it.
nothing after that.
Mm.
So I agree with my mother that I will work hard to support her in going to the modern school, how to buy books, buy clothes, pay the school fees, and all other something. So I agreed with her and I promised her that I will work hard and make sure that anything you want to spend, I bring my own part. So that's how I started modern school education in 1956. Well, to God be the glory. I was working, as at that time, my father was no more interested in what I embarked upon, so he just left me to be doing what
Because you'll be around 16, 17 or 18 years old
at that time, around
So,
18.
yeah, so
So he just left me, but he won't give you a cover for whatever you
you want to do.
put your heads into. So I will do what we call labor, farm labor. That is, somebody who has a farm and wants to weed it.
Yeah.
We take the contract and begin to weed for
For
the person.
Mm.
Weekend or after school, when I was in modern school. In fact, I just left the Quranic education like that.
Yeah.
I almost finished the Quran at that time. So I had to go to, we call it work a day. That is, you go and do labor
Yeah.
for somebody working his farm
Yeah.
after school
You
or
get paid.
weekends, Saturday, Sunday. We have a place here about 3 kilometers or 4 kilometers to this place. We call it Akpa.
Okay.
So if somebody wants to weed his farm in Akpa Isale, and we hear of it, we will run there in the morning, do the
You do
labor,
3 kilometers in the morning.
do 4,
By
5,
walking.
4, 5. We run to the farm, do the work there. When it is around 6 o'clock, we leave and begin to run home
Wow.
from Akpa. So by the time we get, it's already dark, we get home. So, and if we have holiday at all, anytime we have holiday, that is the busy time for us to go
To work.
and do this work a day.
And earn money.
When I had no work a day, or not gaining employment for work a day, I know how to whip a basket. I know how to tie brooms. So all this, I will engage myself in. Any money realized from all this work I'm doing,
Yes,
I
amen.
give the whole amount, no deduction of a kobo to
Mhm.
Mama.
Wow.
So I was eating, going to school, and the school was going on. When I got to the final year, they made it compulsory that we had to pay 2 terms fee together. The final term and the second term, we had to pay to get the money together. Mama had no money, myself, no money. Mama had to go and collect somebody's ajo. What do you call it?
Yeah, Esusu.
So before it was her turn, it was not yet her turn. She was expecting that so this money will come before I pay the money, but they made it compulsory that we should pay. This Opayinde Wosila, the mother of
Mama Elewa.
Mama Elewa, was the one whose turn Mama took and paid my school fees final year.
Wow.
Luckily, I passed.
Wow.
She returned, she refunded her own when it was her own turn.
Yes.
So that was how I passed modern school education. After modern school at that time, unless you want to learn a trade, the next thing is to look for employment. I left for Lagos, follow somebody about Baba Oshonake,
Okay.
who was our cousin. He was my cousin. My father told him that I had finished modern education. He should help me to look for a job in Lagos. He asked me to come over to Lagos, but he had no accommodation to accommodate me. If I could look for somewhere to hide myself, he would help me to look for a job. I was on that for some months before the then Daguriwe Oba Ephraim Olaleye
Okay.
told my mother. That is our mother's line, Olaneye family,
Yeah.
Arijeloye. So my mother bring a princess
Mm.
to her, to this Oba. Went to greet Olaneye. Olaneye asked for my whereabouts. She told him that I had left for Lagos to look for employment. Said, why didn't you tell me? I was very close to the man, but I didn't tell him that I was going to Lagos.
Yeah.
So when I was in school, we were running errands for him also, especially when I was in modern school. I would go to his house, go to Osasa for me, go and do this, go to this place, go to that farm and bring cola and so on. So, lot of, in short, the man said my mother should call me back from Lagos. I came back. That day, he gave me a letter to take to a mission board. Their office was in Shagamu at that time, was in Shagamu. I took it there. That same day, they gave me employment as a teacher.
What?
But when Papa was writing my name, he said, S. Tola Adebambo.
Alright.
To introduce me, himself retired as head teacher
Teacher.
in the Anglican school, well-known person in the Anglican hierarchy. So that same day, they employed me and posted me to Okorodu as a teacher. So I was going there to teach. In fact, you have to live there according to this place, not easy something. So I rented a house there and I was working there. It happened that the layer came. I was I bought a new apparel, new clothes for Ilea Festival.
Yeah.
On that Ilea Festival, we had to go to school. It was Anglican school.
Yeah. And they don't.
The public holiday was
No.
nothing like that. No public school, no public holiday. So I wore the the clothes
New apparel.
to school that day, and everybody, all the teachers, the head teacher, are coming to me. Why are you in this? At that time, you don't wear trousers to school as a teacher. You have to wear short knicker and shirt.
Okay.
Even if you wear trousers, they will be asking, why do you wear trousers? Is this the correct uniform to wear to school?
What?
So on that day, when they were asking me, I said, but today is Ilea Day now. What is wrong if I wear my Ilea apparel to school? So you are a Muslim? I said, yes, I am a Muslim. You are a Muslim. You come to teach in Anglican school. The Anglican children are not yet employed. You Muslim you want to come to and teach. So the report got to Shagamu that day that the man you employed to come and teach in St. John's Okoto is a Muslim. So it's either you sack him or you baptize him or whatever. They send message to Shagamu our employer then. Before I came back to Idoa, the message had reached
The
the
Oba.
Dagriwe
Mm.
that your uncle or son you brought to school is a Muslim, and you know, being an elderly person in this religion, that they are not allowed to teach in our school. So when I got home, just branched at the Dabriwe's house to greet him. He said, message has come from Shagamu that you are not a Christian, you are a Muslim. How do they know? I said, I woke up in the layer to school. And I told them, yes, I told them that I'm a Muslim. So, okay, they told her, let me tell you. If you want to remain in the teaching, you have to baptize
Wow.
within now and 2 weeks.
What?
But if you don't want to remain, they will sack you.
Mm.
But as a son, he said, don't bother yourself, baptize. Just to take this job and
To fulfill righteousness.
So after that, you are free to do
Whatever you want to do.
I agreed immediately because I couldn't think of anywhere to get a job. Muslims don't have schools.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was why I got baptized. I still have my baptismal certificate. Samuel,
Oh, wow.
how I became Samuel Adetola Adebambo.
Wow.
So, and I remained in the school for 2 years. When I was advised that the elementary in school teaching, if you go further, you go to teacher training, you'll be rated better than just untrained teacher.
Mm.
So after spending, before I finished 2 years, I started to look for a way of going to teacher training college. I want to tell you that every kobo that I collected as salary was given to Yasuno, my mother. I didn't take a kobo. She was the one who will sit down and say, okay, this money you have now, how much are you going to spend for food during the month? And one of my junior sisters was with me. I took her from elementary school. She was just in primary one. I took her to my school.
And that was Miss Adeto.
Yatosin.
Yes.
So I was the one who took her to my school and fixed her in primary one. So we were together there. I worked for 3 years. I was saving whatever I could save, whatever. Where after deduction of some money for us to eat, Yasuna will save the others. I don't know.
She was training.
Maybe doing a susu with it or something like that. So then I took entrance examination. The only entrance examination I took in my life was that of Muslim Teacher Training College, Lagos. At that time, there were teacher training colleges in Ijebu here, in Shagamu, in Abeokuta, but I just decided to attend that of Lagos. So one of our cousins or senior in the modern school I'd already gained admission into that school.
That's teacher training college.
Yes, it was at Apapa
Okay.
Wharf.
Mhm.
So he helped me to take form. I took entrance, I passed, went for interview, passed, finally moved to Lagos to continue my education. There, I dropped Samuel and became
Yourself.
Sally again.
Again.
So, and the education continued. It was so difficult for me because I was living in Shomolu, where I was living together with that Adegbe, my senior,
Okay.
and we were going to Apapa Wharf
Mm.
to school.
Mm.
I had no money to take transport. He had help from the mother and father. He was going to Mushin to go and take train
Okay.
to
Apapa.
Apapa.
Mm.
I had no kobo. I didn't enter the train throughout my stay in Apapa. I will wake up around 4 o'clock,
Mm.
do whatever I could do, and begin my journey to school so that I won't be late. Walking, running, doing all sorts of things to get to school. In the afternoon, when we finish, how I
Same
will
journey.
run back to
Home.
and no food, almost no food. I was whenever I was going to Lagos, my mother will give me a bag of rice full of garri, nothing more. No beans, no rice, nothing. So that's the only thing they will give me. And we are going to spend about 3 months before we vacation.
Mm.
So I started, when I got there, it was very, very difficult.
Yeah, I know.
Food was not regular, transport not available, but I continued to struggle and going there to school. And the school itself was not easy because the school had a policy of retrenching students
Mm.
every term.
Why?
We are going to spend 2 years in the school.
Mm.
First term, after spending a term in the school, the examination they conduct,
Mm.
the last 5 students in the class will be weeded in.
They expel them. Wow.
They're gone. Second term, the last 5 students gone. And third term, the last 5 students gone.
That was very tough. Hard.
So, if you go to final year at Muslim Teacher Training College,
Mm.
you are definitely going to make it. Even not only in the teacher training system, anywhere you
Find yourself.
find yourself, you are definitely going to.
Because they have drilled you
Too much.
to make
Too
sure
much.
that
To be serious
to
every minute.
bring the best out of you.
So, if you are able to wangle your way into the final year,
Mm.
some will take a GCE exam and make it. A lot will travel overseas and so on and so forth. The teacher training, teacher grade 3 training at Apapa was so tough for me. At a certain time, I was thinking of coming back home because there was no money, nobody to help me, no food, transport, running from Shomolu to 11 miles to go and school, and 11 miles back home.
Back home.
So,
Oh, that was tough.
but as God will have it,
Mm.
God is, in fact, marvelous, and whatever God wants to do, nobody can change it.
Mm.
It was by dint of good luck that at the time I was contemplating that, will I be able to complete this course? Because I was so lean. In fact, the picture I took when they were giving me prize in the school, I don't know among you, my children, who tore the thing into pieces and took it away. They took it away.
Oh,
I had become a skeleton.
wow.
So we just got to school one day. They announced to us that, well, the government has decided to change our site, our school, to Surulere and not Apapa.
Mm. What a relief.
Very, very big relief. To run from Shomolu to Surulere, almost half of what
Yeah, half of the journey.
I was so glad. So that's the first relief. We resumed at Surulere. The second month, the principal just called us and told us that the government has decided to be giving us allowance of £4
Wow.
per month. £4.
Mm.
Ilé ní Surulere at that time,
Mm.
ilé tó wọ́n ní 2,000 per month per room.
2,000
Mm.
naira.
And £2.
£2.
£2.
Okay, per month.
Mm.
So you could afford to rent a house for yourself.
On my own.
What a change of destiny.
So, and they started to pay us £4 per month. The first thing I did was to hire a house, a room, very, very close to
the school.
the school. If I just pick and see what they are doing, if I want to go,
You can just throw a stone and you to get to the school.
to the school. So, just opposite my house,
Wow.
the school,
Mm.
I was able to secure a room
The
there.
room there.
So,
Wow.
I was like a king.
Yeah. That was
The
providence.
beginning of my progress.
Wow.
So, in fact, I had to call some other students to come and join me
Join you.
to occupy the place. Well, I had nothing to put there.
Mm.
The mattress I was using was the mattress made by this Hausa, where they put grass inside the
Yes.
sack.
Mm.
And that was I bought one when I had a room now. I bought one. So no bed, but the mattress.
Yeah.
So I was using. Before, in fact, by the time we finished our teacher grade 3 course, we have already been prepared for days ahead or years ahead. So by the time I left the teacher training college, we were posted straight. Not you won't look for job before you finish your exam.
Yeah.
They will paste on the notice board. You are posted to so school. So I was posted to Ahmadiyya School Elegbata in Lagos Island.
Okay.
Lagos Island, Ahmadiyya School Elegbata. So that was how I started to work in Elegbata. And fortunately, this my cousin, Egbobe,
Mm. That's
Adesan
that.
and
Yes.
Azulasa
Mm.
was living in the Lagos Island.
Ah.
No room.
Mm.
They were just squatters. So before I got room, I started to squat with them. I was teaching, I was squatting with them. Later, when there was a vacant room in that
Same building.
building, I hired room in conjunction with one other person. The two of us were sharing the room. So all the boys who are
Who have been supportive to you.
they
They
were
came.
just coming to the room, especially when there's rain.
Mm.
If there's no rain, nobody bothers to enter a room.
The room. So where were they sleeping?
Outside,
What?
outside the compound,
Wow.
like this, our compound now.
Mm.
When it is night, everybody will bring the mat, spread it, and sleep. If this Agepo or the
Sanitary officer.
carrying this sheet, so when they want to pass, they will just bring their something.
Okay.
If you don't clear away from they just put physics in your mat. So, of course, I passed through that stage before I got a room and started to live in a room. There I was living. I went to immigration office. I took a passport, international passport,
Yes.
preparing to travel overseas,
Oh.
1964.
Wow.
So this preparation was going on. My salary in the school, I had, there was a cooperative society in Ahmadiyya school. I had told them deduct so from my salary every month
Yeah.
and give me the balance for me to manage. That was how I was living there. So the preparation was almost completed. In fact, it remained about 2 months before I traveled overseas when my father died.
Wow.
And the news came. I had to travel back home to do the burial.
Mm.
At that time, our family said that the 8th day,
Mm.
they're going to complete the burial.
Yes.
All the burial rites
Rites.
will be finished on the 8th day. I had no money except what I was saving
For your travel.
for my journey. So when they were holding the meeting, fixing the time for the ceremony, I told them that I'm sorry, I will do my own later. I will do my own final burial later. And my junior ones, Kakanfo, my junior brother, was an apprentice in Lagos. Tutu, to all of us, yàtọ̀ sí mi nìkan tó ń ṣiṣẹ́, I was the only one working. And they asked me to pay certain amount
Amount of money.
towards the burial. I said I won't be able to pay. I didn't want to disclose to them that I was
You were
preparing to
saving.
travel.
Yeah.
So when we finished the meeting, my mother asked me, I told her this is what happened, and I told them I'm not yet ready. I and my junior ones will do our own later. My mother but feel embittered. Very, very bitter. Very, very bitter. Shedding tears. If my son said he's not ready
To bury his own
to bury his own father, have I got a son there?
Oh God.
No.
Mm.
I too was shedding tears. I left for Lagos to where? That's what I want to do. If I become somebody in life, I will come and celebrate
Definitely.
this thing better. So when I got back to Lagos, I had one allergy who was sort of my advisor, closest advisor. I had to go to him to explain that we have buried our father, and they said this day they are going to do this. And the reaction of my mother. If I had known, I would not even tell him about the reaction of my mother. I told him that my mother was weeping bitterly.
Mm.
Alhaji Shomade is the name of the person. Was living in Isaleko.
Okay.
I was living at Isalegongo, very close to Itafaji, where I was living. So the Alhaji told me that whether you like it or not, the burial of your father, which your mother wants, supersede any other thing. And in fact, those of us who were traveling, we were always going to him. He's an enlightened person. He was the one paying us our salary in the school.
Okay.
And keeping record of the cooperative we were doing. Alhaji knew how much I had saved and how much I was looking for to travel. Dauda Bangbopa, Najim Bangbopa, Daniel Lawal, those are my friends. We wanted to travel at the same time. So he knew quite all right that we were struggling to travel, and we had got our passports. At that time, no need of visa. We was visa. British, we were almost British citizens. Just get to overseas and begin to do whatever you want to do. So, in short, this one insisted that I will take part in the burial. So I had no money. To cut the long story short, the man withdrew all my money in the account, packed it, and called me to his office. Take, go and bury your father. I was not happy at all. This has returned the money to me. I came back to Ijebu, contributed what I was asked to contribute, and the ceremony went like that. After the ceremony, I spent all the money. Nothing again. Just went back to Lagos, and I was going to the school. The hope of traveling has been shattered. So all my friends who were to travel together, they traveled. It remained myself and God. So I was in that stage when it was around November, December. When it was January, this Alhaji sent to me again and asked me what I was planning to do. I said, nothing. I said, okay, continue to teach. After the death of my father and the hope of going overseas had failed, I came home. My mother started to impress it on me that my wife, that is your mother, we had been in courtship for about 4 years, and my father, before his death, came to Lagos and told me that they are waiting for me at home to come and marry my wife. I said, I couldn't tell my father that I had changed my mind because it was my father himself who called your grandfather, maternal grandfather, Baba, so called him and told him that my son wants to marry your daughter. That one said, your son wants to marry my daughter. You are telling me. If you call her and say, marry this person, will I challenge you? We are so close. I don't have to. You are just telling me for telling me sake. By the time you are ready to marry her, call her and marry her now. Is it not your son? Say yes. So since that time, and you know, as at the time I told my father that I'm in love with this woman, I was not really in love. First time in my life that I talked to a woman is your mother. I was so shy, afraid to talk to any lady. In fact, inferiority complex when you have no money, no everything your people are doing, you couldn't do it and so on. So, however, the first person I would say I stand up with and who introduced her to me, it was Apapaji. Do you know Apapaji? Okay. Apapaji was the junior brother to Fasila Olusona's father. Ẹgbẹ́lèmi àti Apapaji ọ̀rẹ́ dẹ̀ ni wá, àjọ ń lọ school àjọ lọ. So all of them not in girlfriend, not in bá obìnrin sọ̀rọ̀.
Is it the person you call just calling?
No, another one. Ọ̀rẹ́ wa náà ni àjọjọ lọ school. But this, your grandfather's house at Igodo, the house opposite it.
Yeah.
That's the ọmọ ẹni tó ń pè ní Oníkọ̀kọ̀rẹ́.
Yes.
Ìyá Olúsànyà. Yusuf Olúsànyà.
Yeah, I might not know the Yusuf, but I know the house and
opposite.
Olúsànyà.
That was his house.
Okay.
Apapaji was there. So, and your mother opposite said, this is my sister, and I'm here, she's a good girl. Ọ̀rẹ́ mi ló máa fẹ́ kíníkan. Èmi tó yẹ pé ẹ̀rù ń bà mí kí n lọ bá ẹnìkan sọ̀rọ̀ kan bú mi kan lálé mi. I was not to God who made me. I didn't stand to talk to a girl up to that stage. I think, anyhow, he introduced me, and your mother also had known me in the town and so on. So that's how we became friends. The time she came to visit me for the first time in our house, this Iloye house, my mother, my father, they were there. Saw her when she entered. She greeted them and so. About 10 minutes, she went away. I followed her. She went away. When I came back, my father said, what in fact? Tí n bá sọ pé no, ọ̀fẹ́ ni màá ṣépè fún mi. Because I know him. He wouldn't like you to be doing
yeah.
girlfriend, something like that. Mo fẹ́ fẹ́. Yes. Ó ṣe dáadáa. So, tó fẹ́ fẹ́ ni, yes, ó ṣe dáadáa. Ọmọ ta ni, ọmọ bàbá ṣàkóso ní kòtò. Okay. I know the father. I know the mother. Bí bàbá mi ṣe gbà sórí nìyẹn ò pé ọmọ èèyàn dáadáa ni ìwọ lọ bá sọ̀rọ̀ pé ó fẹ́ fẹ́. After that, èmi gan ọkàn mi ti change mi dẹ̀ tí mo ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí pọ̀ sí ọ̀rọ̀ pé I want to go to overseas. However, he said that before the death of my father, my mother told me that he said whether I liked it or not, I must marry this woman. If not so, I disgraced him in life and in heaven.
Wow.
So it will be a disgrace for him to go to somebody and say, I want to marry your daughter. And that one say, okay, go ahead. And for me now to say, no, my son is not, So after the death of my father, my mother continued to sink into my hearing. And by the time I had no money again, I had to tell your mother, well, kò sówó kò sí nǹkankan. She told the father and the mother, said, ọmọ afa, ìyẹn mi ò, ọmọ afa àbò, kódà kò jẹ́ pé ṣe náà máa ṣe owó lé obìnrin ibi táwọn ọmọ bàbá ẹ̀ tó ṣèyàn dé, irú èèyàn dáadáa náà fẹ́ kó fẹ́ nìyẹn. If he has no money to do whatever he wants to do, they don't mind. As your parent, they don't mind. And they know that he's going to take good care of you, especially with the father there. So, I married your mother without paying a kobo. And she followed me to Lagos. Of course, I had given her some present that my father was making it compulsory for me. You must buy wristwatch, you must buy umbrella, shoes, and so I had already done all those at that time. So, but when it comes to paying the dowry, I was incapacitated. So, more so, my saving was towards traveling. So, how I got married and overseas journey
got
cancelled.
Okay.
In Lagos, so in Lagos, I married your mother, year 1965. Your first, your senior brother, Abiodun, was born 1966.
Yes.
But in the year 1966, Baba Alaji Somade said compulsorily I had to go for teacher grade 2. You know, after the death of my father, as at that I was a teacher grade 3 who was aspiring to travel overseas and so on. So since that journey was not possible, I just remained as a grade 3 teacher, not even knowing the next step to take. Here I am married, and we were living together in Lagos Island, Princess Street at that time. So one day Alaji Somade called me and said compulsorily I had to go for teacher grade 2 because he has observed that those who were not as good as myself in the teaching were already going back for teacher grade 2. By the time they finish, they come to meet me, they become my senior. And that they were not ready to settle quarrels that you, Mr. So, you are calling me in your junior, you asked me to do this, what a foolish thing. And so said, look, you are a good teacher. All parents are looking for your class to put their children and so on. Now, if you don't go for teacher grade 2, I will sack you. So I had no money to go for teacher grade 2. Then I said, whether you like it or not, you must go for teacher grade 2. So that was how I started teacher grade 2 training in 1966. I went back to the same Muslim teacher training college, Surulere. And luckily, again, those of us who were doing teacher grade 2 education were being paid £4, £10,
Right.
not £4, 10 pounds.
10 pounds.
So I felt very, very comfortable with that. So that's how I was going. I was living at Daraba, coming to teacher training is really very short distance. So, but in my final year, I was not taking it serious, to be sincere, because I wanted to do other things rather than coming to this teacher grade 2 college or so. So, but since I had no alternative, this man forced me. I went there. I was just like maybe playboy. I was not serious at all. I knew that I was not serious. So in that final year, it remained about maybe 1 term before we finished. A friend of mine who was living with me, Mr. Lawal, a native of Ibadan, said I should follow him to Akoka, University of Lagos, to go and visit his friend. Niyi Omotosho was the name of the friend. So, well, let's go. We got there. For the first time, I went to that university. That was the first time I entered there. I saw all the buildings, students, and so on. The one we went to visit, very lovely man. I started to discuss, what are you doing? I said, NCE. How do you manage to pass through? He said, he went to a secondary school. After secondary education, if you are able to make 5 credits, you could take entrance examination to NCE. But those of us who are in, those of us who are in teacher training, he said, you too, after your grade 2, if you have 5 credits and merits and credits, 5, you can come and study here. Say, how can we What about the school fees? You said now it's free.
What?
Free? He said it's federal government program. They want to train more teachers. Nigeria is in short of teachers.
Teachers.
So they gave the incentive that anybody
Who is
who
interested?
gain entrance into NCA college will have free everything.
So he said the program is free, it's
Free.
federal government.
Federal government program.
Mm.
And that if you gain admission, free food, free tuition, free accommodation, free everything, allowance for your teacher for practicals and so on. Say, and you are here. Say, oh God, I don't. How can I come here? Say, if you pass your grade 2, 5 credits, merit and credit 5. You just take form and take entrance admission.
Mm.
It's throughout federation they are going to take the exam. It's not just Lagos people alone. No. Igbo, Hausa, and everybody over one belt.
Yeah.
So let us try. That day, I changed. Abruptly, I changed.
Mm.
I told my
You reappraise yourself.
I told my friend that as from today on,
Mm.
this table tennis, all this thing we do after our
Schooling.
school,
It's over.
I off my hand. Please, I'm going to that school. In fact, inside that, I went out and started to pray to God that I like this school. Please, God, help me to come here and study. I want to study here.
Mm.
I want to be a student here. Baba Niyi, maybe paying receipt. My father was paying receipt. And he has come here to study free of charge.
Mm.
I want to come here. So when we got home, I told my friend that I'm going to draw a timetable for my studies. So, and that one was just making gesture of me say, Ijebu, you like to take things serious. Okay, what has Niyi told us that you want to say that has changed your life now? So that's how I'm going to operate. I'm not interested in all these games we were playing after school. He said, man, go on and do whatever you want to. I drew a timetable for my studies and started on my own. When it got to a stage, I had to leave Idaraba around 7 to travel to Surulere Teacher Training College. Inside the Teacher Training College, I'm going to study at night with some friends and remain there until morning that we go and change for the school something. That's how I made a very good result. In fact, there were maybe about 14 subjects being offered in the school. You have to pass 8, including English and mathematics. I passed all of them, 14. And I had 5
Credits
credits.
and credits.
So the next thing was to take entrance. Immediately I had my results. I traveled to Akoka, that university. Luckily for me, I met a cousin, Alhaji Akeokanwo Ashiru. Adébámbọ̀ làwọn náà, tó bá ń gbọ́ Adébámbọ̀. Bàbá Akeokanwo tó wà ní Ìjẹ̀bú-Òde, òun ni first born. Ìyá Ìlẹ́jà and father mi, àwọn ọmọ Adébámbọ̀ ni. So lọ́rọ̀ kan, I saw Ashiru Akeokanwo. I told him I come to know when the form for the entrance will be ready. He said, he was already in that university So degree course ní ẹ padà wá ṣe ó ti ṣe NC kọjá. So he said, you enjoy? I said, yes. What about your result? I showed it. He said, don't worry, just go and give me your address. The day the form comes out, you will buy it from and bring it to me in Shobunu. So after my grade 3 Mobile,
1968.
we were living in Awofeso, number 5, Awofeso Street. The Auntie Nurse, you know her,
Yes.
Mrs. Adetola,
Bẹ́ẹ̀.
was the one who took your mother to Island Maternity and gave back to you that day before I returned from school. So I had already left teacher training then, but I was struggling that I would go to this NC. So in short, I took the entrance. Luckily, those who saw my name in the newspaper, Daily Times newspaper, were the one who first of all informed me that they had already admitted me for NCE.
Wow.
So I found out it was correct. I went there and took the letter of admission, which stated that we should come and deposit certain amount before we are admitted. And it said that the money will be refunded immediately the federal government completes its formalities about our admission. So when I came back home and told your mother, she had no money, I also had no money. What was the amount of 350 naira also.
That was a lot of money.
Money.
350 naira.
So you were asked to deposit. So I started to look for this money, who can help me, knowing quite well that after some months, maybe 2-3 months, the federal government refund this money, I returned
To the person.
I consulted my brother, Adebambo. I said, it's a pity. I have deposited the money for the remembrance of our father, which he wanted to celebrate in a month's time or so. So we couldn't do anything. My junior brother, who was living with Are, and that is Kakampo, I knew at that time that he has very big savings in his account, because all the time he has the salary. He would tell me he has pesos into his account. He was living with Are, eating and doing everything else something. So, and being a company, he was earning better salary, far better allowance and so on. So I consulted him. He said, no, he had no money. He had no money. I became dejected. So will this opportunity miss me? Did I miss this opportunity? I felt bad. But one day I just left. I remember that Bola Adebambo was in the Navy.
Okay. Yeah.
Also, it's a relation. And when he too was in Delima, he could not pay school fees in secondary school. Some people came to his rescue. Maybe he will think of that, and so early in the morning on Sunday, I went to his room. He was living in Nipan, Nipan. So I greeted him. He wanted to entertain. I said, no, don't worry. At last, he asked me the reason for visiting him so early in the morning. I told him. He laughed and said, so because of that, you don't want to drink tea and bread and so on. So at last, he said, you must first of all drink tea, eat bread and egg before he talks about what I brought to him. In short, he entertained me. Then he asked his wife to bring his box. He just counted the money and handed over to me.
Wow.
No deduction, no addition. Very, very happy. The next day was Monday. I was the first to get to the university to go and pay the money. And they gave me the ticket for my food, key, the key of my room, everything. So called the porter to go and prepare my bed. So that day, I started at the University of Lagos. When it was about a month or so, they called us and paid the money they deposited back to us. Of course, at that time, since I had already settled at the university, I arranged for your mother to come back to Jebu. And that's why you people were living. No, you were living in Jebu at that time. So I had to remain in the university for, I think it was 3 years course, until I finished in 1972, 69, I finished in 1972. Immediately I finished, you people were at St. Peter's School in Dowa at that time, you, Nick, and Biodun. So you were in St. Peter's School.
I can't remember that. I remember that we didn't start school until you were in, was it Sonny Luba? And it was on the September school start was, and you announced to us that we were going to start school. And myself and cousin Nike, we were jumping and September Lamawole, September Lamawole. I could remember
it
that.
Was Biodun alone who was in.
I never remembered going to
Biodun, I think it was Biodun
maybe
alone also. Anyhow, that was how I went to Luba School after finishing. In fact, before we finished the course, they had already given us employment 3-4 places.
Wow.
This school needs you. This one, they put your name there. Go and report wherever you feel you're okay. I decided to come back to Ijebu and not to remain in Lagos at that time. So that's how we came back to Luba. I think Gwan Ansarudin School was the first place you were schooling.
Okay.
It was Ansarudin.
Yeah, the school was, because we only spent, I think, a very short period of time in the Luba school. You had an accommodation in the school, and
we were living in the town before.
Okay.
That house with garage where I was driving a Volkswagen and so on.
Yeah.
So, but on leaving that, they transfer me to school compound they give me accommodation in the school
In the
compound.
school compound.
And I was made the head of the supervisors of hostel.
Okay.
So, in 1964, I gave back to Akim.
No, I was born 68.
And in Lagos,
No, but Abiodun was given birth in 66.
and me.
Yeah, but you were saying Akim.
And 1970,
Oh, you said 64.
74.
Okay, 70.
No, 72, 74.
Okay,
Akim
all right.
was born in Ijebu-Ode.
Okay,
I was at Luba at that time.
yes, yes.
So, and we do the naming there and so on. After some months, I decided to go back for my degree course. So you, Shola and Biodun were living with your mother
Mm,
near it also.
yes.
So that's how.
And that was our own part of being poor. We were very, very poor.
Very, very poor.
Very, very poor. Because I could remember we were living. The front of the shop was my mom's shop.
Sure. Mm.
She had a pepper mill where she
Mhm.
grinds pepper, she sells provision. Then we lived in the inner part of
In
the
the inner
shop.
part.
Yes, and we had some cousins live with us. Nick at some point was with us.
Nika and Biodun
Yes,
and you, the
myself.
three of
Yes,
you
yeah,
were there.
yes.
So, in fact, I didn't want to go for the degree course, but they managed to convince me that if I went for the degree course, I'd be a better person. The children I said didn't want to leave, they will be better off by the time I became a graduate, that I'll be able to develop them as I like than remaining NC teacher that at a certain time I may be so poor that I may not be able to educate these children that I'm talking about. Some of my friends, in fact, they had to convince me seriously that even if you die, these children will live. Why do you say you can't leave them for 2 years? You have to leave them 2 or 3 years. By the time I was admitted for 3 years. So I thought I was going to be there for 3 years. But when we got to the university, those of us who left the university after NCE, we formed a group and we started to pressurize the authorities of the university that we should be allowed to spend only 2 years for our degree course, not 3 years, because there was a brochure that was distributed when we entered for the NCE. At that time, they gave us some brochures. Reading it, they said that if you finish your NCE at the University of Lagos, you are able to have so credit. You will be allowed to spend 2 years for your degree course.
Wow.
So we brought the note, we started to pressurize them that those of us, we listed our names who have finished here and we have spent 2 years after the NCE. It is written here that the professor was telling us that that we should underline May there. They said May, not his compulsory will. So after that, luckily, they agreed that we should spent 2 years for our degree course. So, by the grace of God, I was one of those who made it
And
within these 2 years.
that's the graduation. You can take that. Yeah. But you've taken some other people. Yeah? Okay. So you can take that also and put it. When the story is captured.
So, mo ti sọ dé ibi pé mo lọ fún degree course.
Degree course, and that
I
was
spent 2 years,
yes.
graduated, and when I was to be posted anyhow, I took appointment with federal government. I left the state government. This time, I decided to leave Lagos completely. So I took a federal appointment. I was posted to Oyo State. Oyo State posted me to the Teacher Training College, Ijebu-Jesha, Divisional Teacher Training College. There I was for 4 years. So we were together in
Yes, we came
Ijebu-Jesha.
to live with you.
So on leaving Ijebu-Jesha, on transfer, I transfer my service from state to from federal back to state. So we were posted. I was posted to Anglican Girls, Ijebu. That's
Yes, yeah.
how you enter Anglican Girls
Anglican Girls Grammar School.
Grammar School, Ijebu. At Anike,
Yes.
the other was taken to Ijebu Grammar
Grammar
School.
School.
So there from Anglican Girls, I spent about maybe 2-3 months. I was posted to Modi Jasi Comprehensive High School to start a new school there. Completely new school. There was never a Modi Jasi Comprehensive. So I was the founding principal of the school. Taught at Modi Jasi 4 years. We were transferred again to Ibefun Lado Comprehensive High School. I was the principal also, principal Imodi Jasi, principal Ibefun Lado. After 4 or 5 years at Ibefun Lado, I was transferred again to Ijebu. That school was Ogun State School of Basic Studies. It's not like the normal secondary school. It's a school established for those who had finished their school cert and could not make it very well. So there I was posted to. It was at that time I was at the school that I married this woman. Olayemi. At that school, I married Olayemi. Now is Olayemi Adebambo. After some time, they wanted to transfer me again to another school, which I rejected. After much pressure, they allowed me to remain in the school. I retired in 1994 there, Ogun State School of Basic Studies, as principal. So that's my teaching career. And after retirement, I continue. In fact, it was at that time that I entered into politics. Of course, before politics, it was development, community development assignment given to me by the Dagbriwe Obadekoya that I was battling with, going up and down. I started with community development, Idowa development, community development as chairman, community development in Idowa. I was sent again to represent Idowa at Liguru. There, I was appointed as chairman again, Liguru area CDC. From Liguru, they also asked us to represent Liguru at Udugbulu local government. I was attending their meeting, doing everything. Later, they appointed me the chairman of Udugbulu Zona CDC. So the whole of Udugbulu local government, all the community development, they were inviting us here and there to come and give talk, to come and address them on how to develop their community development associations. From Udugbulu, I was appointed to represent Udugbulu local government at the state level. So I became a member of the state ESCO of community development. There I was for some years before I finally decided to retire from community development activities. But before I retired from community development activities, the politicians around here, especially Ijebu South, that area, also Saidowa, and so on, they sort of convinced me that I should be attending their parties meetings. There, I first of all contested as a councillor, which I won, and I became a councillor.
Representing which ward?
Idowa ward.
Okay.
So after that assignment, I was not allowed to leave, but I was still busy doing this community development at that time. So the party leaders in this area thought I should be one of their members. Anyhow, I joined them, and they recommended, when the election was held, they recommended that I should be given a post. That was how I was appointed the special advisor on community development.
Okay.
As at that time, I was still full-fledged member of community development, going to Abeokuta, going to everywhere. So combining it with the local government assignment. So after completing the local government assignment, I think I retired. But as at that time, there were too many commitments here and there, to the extent that I had to consult a friend that I was not performing well again. He advised me to go and shed some of the assignments I was holding. chairman of this, chairman of that. There were Liguru, Bebulu, Abeokuta, and so on. So I started to shed the assignment little by little until I became fair. So I think that's
Yeah. But
that's the position in which I am.
in the as life continues, because you started in business in hospitality industry.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, thank you. Before I retired as principal, we were informed that we should organize ourselves so much that after retirement we will still have something doing. So a friend of mine by name Chief Okusanya, Ademola Okusanya, he was the principal of Umajoshi while I was the principal of Ibefun Lado. So we became friends and we were always talking about what to do after retirement. So we had sessions in which we will sit down and be suggesting various things that we could do. And we will take them one by one and begin to tell us advantages and disadvantages of doing that kind of business. So at last, I agreed on this hospitality business. He also agreed on library, books store, sales of books. So that's how we arrive at that. And to start with, this my place was not fenced. The first step I took was to struggle and fence it around.
For security purpose.
For security purpose. I think nobody would like an hotel where there's no fence. So after that, I started the business. I was still in the teaching profession, not yet retired, but I couldn't pay attention. I was hiring people to do the business, and they were cheating me a lot. In fact, I knew quite well that they were cheating, but there was nothing I could do. I'm such a person that will never shy away from my official duty. I can never, because I was earning my salary and I want God to compensate me for doing my work. So the hospitality business was just in the hand of those who were ready to cheat a lot. They were cheating me. In fact, I was spending part of my salary as a teacher to augment the business. So until I retire.
Yeah.
When I retired, I had more time for the business. And luckily for me, the first person that worked with me and I started to realize some gains was a lady called Ijesha. We call her Ijesha. Tayo Ijesha. She's from Ilesha area. So she was the first person who worked with me, and at the end of the month, I was able to pay her salary and had money left in my pocket.
Wow.
All the others who had worked with me before that time, I will have to add my part of my salary to the business to continue to run. So now that after my retirement, anyhow, there were a lot of changes I could bring into the business,
Business.
and I was running it to the best of my ability. Anyhow, that's all.
Okay. Thank you so much. Yeah, out of your hobbies also, as your child and the second child, we did this hobby with you, whether we liked it or not, and that was farming. Tell us a bit about that.
Farming, like I said at the beginning, is the usual occupation of our people in this town.
Yeah.
When we were born, my father was a farmer, my mother was a farmer, and we were doing all the farming thing together. But by the time I left for Lagos and started to advance my education, the farming something was no more my hobby. So until I graduated and was posted to Ilesha area.
Yes.
At Ilesha, their own type of farming was yam farming. They were planting yam. Whereas in Ijebuya, our major crop was cassava and maize.
Yeah.
But in Ilesha area, it was maize and cassava and yam. So it was at Ilesha again that I picked up farming. I started to move near the farmers there. They started to show me how they were planting their yam.
Yeah.
Maize already, I know how to do that. So that's how I started to plant yam there. We started with about 200 seedlings. By the time I was living in Ilesha, I was having up to 3,000 seedlings. So I was using it to augment my salary.
Yes.
Using it as a hobby. When you don't go to pub, you don't go to hotel, you don't go to public places to enjoy yourself. You have to occupy yourself with something. That was, apart from my teaching, farming was the second thing, which became my hobby there. I continued like that till I came back to Ijebu. Fortunately for me, I didn't spend much time before I was posted to a rural place like Imudi Jase, where I picked up my
lots of land.
Yes, I started to plant again. Go back to. I tried the yam we were planting there. I tried it here. It failed.
Wow.
So I had to change to cassava planting and maize. Since that time, it has been a regular thing. By the time you were in the secondary school, the only thing you will do for me is to follow me to the farm, do this farming work, shedding the maize and so on, whatever. So that's how I came back to farming. And up till now, when even sometimes I will say, I'm already old, I won't do farming again. But because of the passion I have for it, or without knowing again, I just find myself doing it again. This year alone, if you go to that apartment, you will see the maize we harvested there. So I thought I would just plant maize, we eat maize and leave it like that. But gradually I expanded it. And instead of having it sold
Mm.
fresh,
Mm.
unknowingly, the thing had become dry.
Okay.
So that's how we have to bring maize back home.
Mm.
Full that area is full. The place is full of maize.
Mm.
So and in fact, the one that establishes my likeness for farming is when you go to the front of Lutuna. Did you stop there at all? You have not stopped there.
No.
Oh. If you go there now, you will see a small garden which I established there. Some vegetables are there, some yams planted inside sacks, some fruits like pawpaw, like sharp or sour sap.
Okay.
So, in fact, lemon is that. My decision was that I will be using that as my hobby, just going there to play in the evening and coming back home. That is finally when I leave all this. In fact, the maize I planted this year will be the last I will plant. I never
You want to
go
do
to that area anymore. But and the cassava I also planted this year, I believe that is enough. Enough is enough. This my small garden,
Yes.
by the grace of God,
You continue
I will
with that.
remain going there.
And then put tomatoes, pepper.
Tomatoes, there,
Wow.
small pepper, small quantity, and so on. We have that.
Wow.
Vegetables.
Yeah. So for our viewers' sake, when you went back to university, and myself, my cousin Nike, and my older brother Abiodu, Alaji Abiodu, we were living in the shop towards the Toms market with my mom. I referenced my dad. I said we were very poor, and he could testify to that. But just to bring it back, when we were at Ijebu-Jesha, and daddy went into farming, I think there was scarcity at some point where there was like a cooperative where they shared rice and all of that. I want to say that we became very rich, not financial. It might not be financially because I didn't know how much my daddy was holding in his pocket or in his account. But as a child, I saw that we were rich in food. A whole room was full of food stuff. Talk of beans, of yam,
Rice.
of rice, of vegetable oil, and all of these things. They were full in. So we couldn't even finish the yam till the harvest time the next year. So we became rich again. So I'm just putting that as a reference for our young ones that will be watching this in the future. And you know, when you are at a point, you need to look at how you can add to yourself. That's why I'm bringing this in.
Yes.
Daddy was in a comfortable state. He was an NCE holder, or he was a grade 3 teacher's holder, but he wanted to advance himself, and that he continued to do step by step, until the first graduate in his family, and maybe I don't know in his lineage. Thank you. So that you can continue.
Yes. Sometimes you ask a question that what is the bond between
Yeah.
us, those of us who are of the same father, but not of the same mother in our family? I will tell you that it's the handwork of God, because when we were young, very young. My mother was living with the husband. The other woman was living in Igodo, and my mother was living in Iloye with the husband. My father had already left his father's home in Igodo and has left for Iloye, while the wife, the first wife, married at Igodo, remained in Igodo there.
Okay. In the father's
House.
Okay. So your mom being the young wife.
Yes.
Okay.
So we were living in Iloye, and there was so much enmity between our mother and the first wife.
Your stepmother.
In fact, they told me that even before I was born, knowing that my father was in love with my mother, there was a lot of atrocities committed by the side of the senior wife. However, a man survived there. I don't need to narrate them one by one, the way they told me. So we were like that. We were like that until the death. Before the death of my father, he built his own personal house. Started to build it when I was about 3 people at the quarter. Whatever I was earning, my mother later told me that she was using my money to aid the husband to build that house. We children didn't have much contact. My own line and we were not having contact at all. We were living far apart. But when my father built his house, he gave room to my senior brother, and gave room to me and junior one, 3 of us, as the male
children here.
So we were living. So when Ale comes home, he comes there, not where the mother was living. So we started to live together like that. But he was living in Lagos. Anytime he comes home, he come to the father's house. So we were like that until the death of my father. When our father died and the burial was done, like I was saying, there was insisting that we were going to do the burial immediately, while I was insisting that the burial would be done later. So, however, after the burial, sometime later, I recalled those of us who are the younger brothers and sisters together in our father's house and addressed us.
Wow.
That whatever enmity the parents had, their mother, my own mother, our father, and so on, we should
let it go.
We should not be part of that anymore. As from now on, we should live, we should be together. And know that we are born of the same father, to have our destiny in together and so on. That he as our senior is ready, whoever needs help and so on, we will try. So he addressed us. Since then, we are coming gradually together. The situation that arose also confirmed that he was ready to help. Is that when Suraju Adebambo Kakamfo, he was an apprentice in Lagos. So when there was vacancy in the factory where I was working, he first of all called me that if I was interested in factory, I told him I can't work in a factory. It would be too noisy for me. So in fact, I went to the factory. I told him that, hey, I'm sorry, this is not the right place for me to work. He asked me to call my junior brother, who also was living in the Lagos Island. We were living together in Lagos Island. I called that one. We went there. And being a mechanic, so the work they are going to do there also relates more to mechanical something than being undercover. So in short, they employed my junior brother, and immediately he asked him to come and live with him. So how Kakamfo started to live with him. He lived with him for many years. As at that time, I was struggling with my teaching something. I had to bring my junior sister, who was living with me when I started teaching.
At Okorodo.
She was with me at Okorodo. Now that I came back to Lagos to teach, I invited her. She was living with me, and from there she married. So we were becoming closer and closer gradually, because even when Kakamfo left our space, Tom, my junior sister, who was living with me, also moved to our place to live with him. So, and that one lived with him for so many years, not only before marriage. After marriage, my sister and the husband were living with Are. So Are started to act like father to us. But anyhow, everybody with his own fault. By the time I wanted to enter the university, she didn't. However, his action and activities gathered us together, and we were becoming loyal to him, like myself, my junior brother. So that's from our own part. And she is the only male child of our mother.
His mother,
So they two were going to him. And in fact, Are's activities brought us together and became friends, all of us.
And we can say of him, Are Adebambo, Jimo Adebambo, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Jimo
Olubunmi Adebambo. He's now resting with his ancestors. we can say is a worthy leader,
Very, very.
very worthy head of the family. Thank you so much, Daddy.
Okay.
So, yeah, whilst we are still on Adebambo family, can you remember any of the Oriki? Oriki is, I don't know how to say it, in Yoruba land.
Yes.
Here we have,
Read the poetry and our people in Adebambo's family usually call us Ọmọ Alébíoṣù. Alébíoṣù, má fara sí ọmọ alé gidigidi oṣù. Alébíoṣù, má fara sí ọmọ alé gidigidi oṣù. Alébíoṣù, má fara sí ọmọ ọmọ àkọ́fàkùn ní ìwé oko ìkọ̀ọ̀kan. Àkófù oko ìkọ̀ọ̀kan oko. Ọmọ àkọ́fàkùn. Ọmọ irin ńlá tó wà lọ́nà òmù. Ọmọ olúgbó máyàrúsì ó yàrúsì ẹ̀bọ̀ra gbé. So I can still remember all those.
Mama used to say those stories too.
Ọmọ irin ńlá tó wà lọ́nà òmù. Ọmọ irin ńlá wà lọ́nà òmù. Ọmọ olúgbó máyàrúsì tó bá yàrúsì ṣẹ̀bọ̀ra máa gbé. I can still remember those.
Thank you so much, sir. You are increasing our knowledge of where we came from, or where, and we want to be able to bring that knowledge to our children also. Some of our children are grown, some of the grandchildren, they are already grown, but some are still young. So we want them to be able to see this video and know their roots and know where they have come from.
It's good.
So let's come back to the modern day now. From your activities in your town, in Idowa town, you've been recognized with chieftaincy titles. So tell us about this chieftaincy title. Why do they give people chieftaincy title, and what does it represent?
The widely recognized chieftaincy titles are usually given by the royal fathers, the king of the town. If a king recognizes somebody's activities in the town, he will invite the person and say, I want to give you a chieftaincy title because of your activities. If the person agrees, the Oba or the king will give the person the chieftaincy title. In my own case, the first time I was approached by Dagbriwe Oba Adekoya, Musa Adekoya, that he wanted to give me a chieftaincy title after his coronation. The chieftaincy title, of course, you could be given the chieftaincy title of your family background, like the Kakanfo of Idowa. It was the turn of our family to appoint a Kakanfo.
Yeah.
I was consulted and we had a meeting. I told them that I was not ready for any chieftaincy, that when the time comes, I would prefer to be given an Otumba title. That is from royal, to confirm that I'm from royal family. Badiko explained to me that the tradition of Israel is that they don't give Otoba to people.
Who are already
No,
friends.
apart from 4 Otobas, they usually appoint in Idoa. There are 4 ruling houses. Each ruling house will appoint an Otoba, and that we will confer. As at that time, there was an Otoba in our own family.
Oh, I see.
Mrs. Kiloto Jedala. So Badijo was the Otoba of our family at that time. Until the demise of the Otoba of your family, you cannot become an Otoba. And he made me to realize that if I refuse to take an Otoba, if I refuse to take a chieftaincy title, that doesn't mean that he will stop calling me and giving me assignments.
Okay.
So if my junior ones take Otoba and they take a chieftaincy title, I do not feel cheated that he has been giving us assignments, we have been helping him.
Yeah.
But if now I say I'm not ready for chieftaincy, I should continue to work for him. He will not be guilty again. So after considering all this and the assignment being given to me, I later realized that it's better to take.
To have a portfolio.
So he told me the titles I could choose from. Then I chose Baba Alaje. Immediately he confirmed. We did all the necessary rites, took the cattle to him, and we performed the ceremony. I think the picture. Ìgbà tó ń gbé lókè yẹn ṣe kábíyèsí ìyẹn tó bẹ̀rẹ̀ òkè kì í ṣe yẹn. For chieftaincy title, there are 2 ways. The king or Oba can recognize somebody in the town and say, because you are working for me, you are helping me, I want to give you a chieftaincy title. And a particular family or royal family can decide to honor one of their own and take to the Dagbewi or the Oba. If the Oba signs it, he can honor the chieftaincy titles. So that's the way. And to show that you really accept the chieftaincy title, you have to perform a particular ceremony, which we perform. You have to take a carol or whatever gift you are going to give to the king, carry it to him. You will perform the necessary rites and you become a chief. That's the one for the whole town.
Yeah.
But for Muslims, the Muslim titles we have, also the Muslim community were the ones who will pick, and the management committee of the mosque will decide that yes, it is good to give so this chieftaincy title. When I was first honored in the Muslim circle, I was given the title of Saraki Adini. After some time, they decided that I should be the Balogun Adini. So I had to shed the Saraki Adini to Balogun Adin. That's why I am Balogun Adin now. The other title which I have is Olórí Ẹbí.
Yeah.
Olórí Ẹbí Aríjẹlóyè. Since I was in school, I was attending family meeting with my mother like that. Even the Oba then, when I was in school, was from our family, was especially that my grandfather, maternal grandfather, the one here,
Mm. Okay.
of Aríjẹlóyè family.
Aríjẹlóyè.
So when the thing went on like that, by the time this last Olórí Ẹbí died, Ọ̀ṣọ́náìkè, Baba Ojú Ọ̀ṣọ́náìkè died,
Mm.
the family decided that I should be the next Olórí Ẹbí. And we informed the Dagbewi of it, who also confirmed, and we did all the necessary rites. That's how I become Olórí Ẹbí again. So I'm holding three titles,
Titles.
the Baba Alaji,
Yeah.
the Balogun
Balogun
Adin,
Adini.
and the Olórí Ẹbí Aríjẹlóyè ruling house.
House.
That's all.
Whilst we are
Láti
still.
bí
Okay.
láti bí
Okay.
3 months ládùúgbò.
All right. Oh, you have another one.
And
Okay, whilst we are still on that, can you tell us the 4 ruling houses in Idowa? Because you are the Olórí Ẹbí
of one
of
of them.
one of them. So, and how does it go round to all these 4 families? And there's no rancor, there's no problem. How did the forefathers do it? That all these things.
Well, there are 4 ruling houses in Idowa. That has been established long ago. And in fact, before I was born, there were 4 ruling houses. Still now, 4 ruling houses, and I don't think it can ever be increased. So the 4 ruling houses are, let me start from the present Oba.
Yeah.
It's from Anowoneyo ruling house. Anowoneyo ruling house.
Yeah.
The one that died before him was from Agbomagbe ruling house.
Yes.
The Oba now that is ruling, we call Anowoneyo ruling house, is Oba Sikiru. Oba Sikiru
Yeah.
Kayode Afuape Okuribido.
Yeah.
The one that died before him was from Agbomagbe,
Yes.
and the Oba I happen to know there is Oba Yunusa Oladele Adekoya. Yunusa Oladele Adekoya.
Yeah.
Before that,
Mhm.
our own line, Aríjẹlóyè ruling house, had Oba Ephraim Olaneye as our own Oba.
Yeah.
Before Oba Olaneye was Oba of Agbejoye ruling house. Agbejoye ruling house. Oba Agbejoye ruling house. Samuel Adebomọjẹ.
Thank you so much.
All these four of us, I know them all.
Mm.
Samuel Adebonajo was the one reigning before I was born.
Wow.
When I was born in 1939,
Mm.
Adebonajo had been on the throne since 1927. So I know, well known to me and so on. And followed by Obalanaye, who
I think I
happened
know Olaneye.
Obalanaye.
Yes, yeah.
He died in
I know.
1992. I'm on
I know him. I know. Yes, I know.
82.
I know him.
1982.
Mm. This Oba Unisa is just the immediate
Left,
late.
so-
It's the late. Yeah. Thank you so much, Baba. So we're almost rounding up, but this interview will not be complete without you talking about how you stick for doing the right things and doing things right. In that we will say, oh, Baba is very strict. There's no way, we are going to talk about your life without talking about you standing on what you believe is right and doing things right. What formed I know your mom, of blessed memory, she also appeared to me to be someone who was very strict and very, liked to do the right thing. So did you take it from her, or was it just you being who you are?
Thank you. I'm happy you already know the mother,
Mm.
my mother.
Mm.
You were close to her when she was alive.
Yes.
Very strict woman, never take nonsense out of anybody.
Mm.
In fact, my mother was harder than my father. My father was not all that hard, but if he beats somebody, we almost beat the person to death. But for 10 years, he may not touch you at all.
Mm.
But my mother, very, very strict. She wouldn't tolerate any nonsense in speech, in action, in whatever. Given assignment, you are just wasting time there and so on. She will not take it from the person. And I think she had influence on me so much. I now remember that when I became a teacher, in fact, from my mother tutelage to being a teacher, I was almost still under my mother's care. When I became a teacher at Okoto. When I was teaching, it's all part of me not to take any nonsense from anybody, whether teacher or student or whatever. I disciplined some children at Okoto to the point of almost dying.
Wow.
So that was the background I started with, and it continued to influence me throughout my life. Some people may say maybe I'm too harsh and so. I don't know how I managed to become so harsh. But to me, I have sympathy on people, but when it comes to certain things, I wouldn't take such a thing. Maybe influence of my mother on me, but I know definitely it's not the influence of my father at all. My father was such a person. So I can remember maybe only once my father beat me in life, but my mother, including other form of discipline. I want to tell you that sometimes I weaved basket, I prepare brooms, I tie them as well, carry them to Ijebode. I hawk all Itasun. I couldn't sell. I even went about Ijebode street hawking brooms and basket. When I sold all my wares, as at that time, I was in the elementary school. I knew about fountain pen as at that time, around standard 3 or 4. So the pen we were using for writing was this hole and nib something we were using. So since I'm the one who worked and prepared my basket and this, and I sold, and I know that fountain pen is very good for me. I won't be carrying this ink pot and a nib, something like that. If I have a fountain pen, just draw ink and put it in your pocket and go. I bought a fountain pen. With my money.
You don't approve.
With your hard labor.
You don't approve.
When I got back home, my mother asked for the money of the basket and brooms. I went to sell in Ijebode. I said, this is the remaining money. I had already bought a fountain pen for my school use. Heaven was let loose of me. I regretted doing that in my life. The discipline was too much. Including, you are not going to eat here the next 1 month. That money you spend to buy fountain pen is what you will be using to buy food and eat. I found from the beating and all those things. Just an example of how we were trained, or how I was trained. I can remember also one other incident. Yes, I think it was the festival was coming, Ilea festival was coming, and I did some work a day, farming and so on. I decided to buy a singlet shirt, which I will use on Ilea Day. Singlet shirt, not a garment, not singlet like this. So I mistakenly bought it. I almost go back to my maker that day for buying that. And in fact, who will ever give me money to go and buy such thing? Unless I work.
Yes.
But this time I worked, but I would never be allowed to buy. I need this. No. So that's the kind of. The same thing with food. At home, you, this boy, when you come back to school from school, go and fetch water from Soso and fill this pot. If I fail
To do that.
that night I may not eat, and so many other disciplines, flogging and
But
in fact, at a certain time, I wanted to run away from Idoatu. If I could escape to somewhere else, the discipline was too much for me. my father will insist that I should go to Ileke. My mother will insist that when you come back from school, you go and fetch water. I pack some cassava something somewhere. You go and carry them home. And so, all such things. It was too much on me, but I was able to surpass them.
Firstborn.
So I was talking about you doing, because in all of this trauma that you went through in life, you were still able to make something out of your life. But something that stands out for me is you stand for the right thing. You stand. When things are going in the town or in the village or whatever, even up to this our new Oba, that just you stood by people following and doing the right thing. That is a virtue. Tell us about that virtue, because children are going to learn from this video. I want them to learn something from you.
Well, thank you very much. That, if you relate that to the story I was narrating about my mother's strictness,
Yes.
just do the right thing. Unless you do the right thing, you will not find things easy at all at home. That has been our background. So, and as we were growing up, also, we were following that. Take for example, as a principal, I know a child should not come late. Myself, also as the principal, I never go late. Because this is the standard thing. You must see example in me. I can't remember. Well, one occasion I had an accident. When I was going to school at Idefun, I had an accident because I was rushing to see that I would be the first to. Principal now don't sign time book. At that time, I will be the first to sign the time book that I have come on. And my teachers, knowing quite well that I will never tolerate that kind of thing, they never come late. Because if you come late, I catch you, I will not find it easy. The same thing when teaching is going on during the day. I'll be moving from class to class to see what the teachers were doing with the children. If a teacher is expected to be in a class, and I get to that class, the teacher is not there. Because you are paid to teach these children. Why should you need them? Why should you need them? Ìkan náà wọn kan tó máa ń fa wàhálà ìmọ̀ àtàwọn títà mi. I got to that class, I didn't see you. Where were you? So, that has been our own way of life since. As we are growing up and we belong to various groups and associations, I think everybody must have realized that this is our way of life.
For what you stand for.
I didn't contest to become the chairman of this, chairman of that. The people will say, no, you are the one. Either the Oba will say that, no, you are going to represent us there. You are the one. I want things to go there. Example, the creation of Ijebu State, we started long ago. Abadeko assures me, Olu Adebanjo and Oyemi, three of us to represent Idowa at that. There are people who are richer, but you know that once I agree to do something, it is that thing exactly that I will focus on, and I struggle and make the best I can do out of it. I may not be the best in anything, but I will struggle and see that I do what I am expected to do. So maybe this is what people see in us, and something that it will become this, it will become that. So me, I regard
Uprightness.
very, very important to be upright, not to be deceitful, not where you are expected to work, not to play there. Where you are expected to speak the truth, say it and let the devil be ashamed. I will never be a pastor. I don't. As when maybe I may have told a lie before, but to the best of my knowledge, I scarcely tell a lie. Very, very scarce. The same thing, child, duty given to me to share it after I agree that I do this is not my way of life. So, the young ones now, if they form this habit, life will be easier for them. The recognition the last Oba gave me, he wanted to even add another chieftaincy title. I said no. I don't. He said I will be the Olori. He wants to create Itun out of Agaya. That I'm proposing that we are going to be the Olori there. I said Olori again. Olórí ẹbí bàbá Alájé ẹ fún mi ní ọjà pé kí n máa supervise despite pé mi ò ṣe bàbá ọlọ́jà náà yàrá fi ń tòótọ́ ẹ tún fẹ́ fi bàbá you are still looking ajá you are so bàbá ẹjọ tó yọ lọ́hùn please I'm okay with all this honour.
Yeah.
And this Oba, President Oba, he told me that he heard about my activities. He told me that sometime when we were discussing, but I didn't know you before. How did you come to say, before I come to Idowa to begin my journey, I have gathered stories of people, the type of people I should move with, and the type of people I should not move with.
Wow.
He said he had been told that. He said he gathered the information when he was still in Lagos and never yet ready to come back to Idowa. So, that is why he was reminding me that when Oba Adepoya was still there and he was coming, that I would to remember that I'm one of the people he will talk to and come to my house.
Wow.
And Baba Biono, the two names continue to ring anywhere he went at that time. So, but when he came, he discovered that the truth, nothing but the truth. So that is why. So to be consistent, to be upright, to work hard. Look at my age, 86. Yesterday, around 7 p.m. or to 7, the agreement had to call me and say about tonight. Now, we want to have a meeting. I should come to his house. It was Asis who drove me there, because I don't drive at night. So, he will say it that if he calls Baba at 1 a.m. before 1:30, 1:20, Baba is already in my place. So say, these are reliable people. So I thank God for that kind of comment. So our consistent, our straightforward. Kéèyàn kò má dẹ̀ máa ṣe pálapàla. Look, some people, for example, because of money, they begin to tell lies, they will change gears and so on. We don't do that. I'm not rich, but I'm not a poor person. I know that. I'm not rich. If they are looking for poor people, they do not come to my side at all. I'm not poor, and I'm not rich. I'm in
When
between.
you are comfortable.
Very, very content. I'm satisfied.
Yes, contentment.
Contentment.
Yeah.
Very, very, very content. If people are looking for posts because of money, I'm not part of that. If they are looking for something which is quite dubious, don't count me out. Count me out. I'll never do anything dubious. I'll never deceive people. I say things as I see it. Whatever I see, I don't usually tell lies about what I see. This is what I see, this is what I know. You may know another thing, but as for me, this is what. So I think that is my way of life. It's already part of me, and I'm going to die like that.
Thank you
Definitely.
so much, Daddy. Thank you. One other thing is to your credit is you love to give. You love to do for people. You love to impact people.
Yes.
You love to see that people are okay. Out of your lack, if you are not poor, so I will not say out of your poverty, but out of your not having excesses, because some people are comfortable giving when they have excesses,
Yes.
but you don't have excesses, but still you do as much. Since I was young and I knew you and I know you, you always have something to give to other people.
Definitely.
You buy notebooks, packs of notebooks, 10, and you give to people who come, their children, they don't have notebooks and things. I can still remember that. How did you manage to do that, to give out of your own life?
Well, let me start from the time I had nothing to give to anybody. But the knowledge I have, I try to share it with younger ones so that it will be of benefit to them. For example, when I was teaching, and you people, you and your brother and other relatives, I agreed to bring them. And about 8 or so people were living with me with my poor salary. I want to tell you today that I can't remember a day when some of them were coming back and they brought bread or bought something to me or money. They were living in my house, eating out of my food, but I was working hard to augment my earnings. When you plant, you harvest for eating and so on, you will not lack too much. So, right from that time, I have been helping people to the best of my knowledge. At that time, I had no money to give people, but I had knowledge to share whatever knowledge I have. I teach people free of charge. Nobody pays me for coaching the children for WAEC or something like that. I just coach them, they go away like that. It has been like that, but later, God continued to bless, and we were able to buy little things, give money to people, poor people like that. I was doing that, not that I was very, very comfortable, but I have feeling that this person, if you help this person now, at least the condition will be better. I hopefully feel sympathy for poor people, and especially as for educational something, that I don't want anybody. I don't like anybody to drop out of school because of lack of material, lack of this, lack of even up to school fees. I know how many people school fees I paid as a teacher, as a retired person. Up to yesterday, people still come to me to say that my child is unable to, I'm able to pay the school fees and do them. I did what I had. So it has been part of me, and God, in His own way, knows how to compensate me. I never suffer because I gave somebody something. In fact, what I have noticed is that when I give people something, God has a way of replenishing. Not long after that, God will compensate me in many folds after that. Many folds. When my mother was alive, sometimes I feel that I'm no more buoyant, no money, nothing. Sometimes I just decide to this woman, let me do something. Maybe fish, this dry fish and so on. Or somebody is hawking fish, I buy, carry to my mother. Mama, please, you can manage it. Mama ṣàdúrà. Ó lè jẹ́ ẹjọ́ yẹn, ó lè jẹ́ ẹjọ́ kejì, ẹjọ́ kẹta. Màá kàn máa rí reward tí Ọlọ́run máa kàn fún ẹ̀ sí blessings Ọlọ́run àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. It has been like that since, and it's still happening now. Tí ìjọ́ tí mo jókòó lé níbi tí èèyàn wá kí mi tó dẹ̀ ń lọ tó drop 500,000 fún mi, 500,000 naira. Ẹni mi ò lè nìkan sọ pé nǹkan báyìí ni mo ṣe fún ẹni yìí rí. Whereas àwọn tí mo fojú ṣe, tí mo fọkàn ṣe, tí wọ́n. So my daughter, if you are helping people, just help them for helping sake. Don't believe that this will repay me or those you expect that will repay you will never repay you. But God has a way of repaying people. Ẹni tí mi lè rántí pé gbà tí ọmọ yìí wà ní kékeré ṣé mo ṣe nǹkan kan fún wọn rí pé òun ló dẹ̀ mọ́ máa sọ pé bàbá ẹ ràn mí lọ́wọ́ ẹ ṣe báyìí báyìí bóyá ẹ kóòṣì wa ní kinní kan mi lè rántí àgbàtà wà ní school ẹ̀yin lè wá ń ṣe extra coaching fún wa ní kinní kan ti gbàgbé mi tẹ̀ mọ́ kó wà ní kinní sùn.
Oh, thank you so much, Daddy. We've learned a lot from you. You've remained very strong in your mind in your agility, in strength, in mental health? Is it because of the food that you eat? Is it because of what is the secret behind that? You are 86 years old, but this morning when I came, I still saw a lot of people, very young, younger even than myself, who is your daughter. You are still putting them through on how to open a bank account, and you are 86 years old.
To feed their form as well.
You are still that form, but it amazes me. How do you do it?
Well, I would say it is God's gift too, because I don't know. Of course, if you go through my history, you see that I didn't find things easy to start with. So I had to work hard, prepare myself hard. So maybe that has been what remained with me. It's not easy at all for me to read, to go to school. When I was trying to go to school, it was not easy at all. And I was able to struggle and do it. All this struggle, and in fact, those who are very close to me, they know that I'm always busy doing something. Maybe that is why
Has
I
kept
am going.
yeah,
So-
has kept you going.
Reading, I can't do a day without reading one or two things. I will just read. It's just part of me. If I don't read, that day must be a different day at all. Reading, listening to, I must listen to news twice a day. Twice a day, I must listen to. So, and writing, very, very simple for me. Very, very, I like writing. So, therefore, I think since I don't slack or remain dormant in place, maybe that's why I'm still agile according to you people.
Thank you so much. We'll take note of that and we'll follow your footsteps. So almost last.
You talk of food.
Yes, food. Yeah.
You know, you are my daughter. You know, am I? All that. Well, food is very good for human being, and the type of food you eat is very important. I know I like fruits. I like fruits. In fact, I was doing what they call fruit fasting. Those days when I had fruits in my farm, we had oranges, shaddock, tangerine, tanjalo. I had all of them. Pineapple, pawpaw. I try to eat them a lot. Up till now, in fact, if I see fruit, I prefer to eat the fruit and leave the food.
Wow.
So I know that for my food, nobody can predict my appetite at all. My wife will say, àti ẹ̀mọ nǹkan tó máa ṣe tó máa like. So they prepare ẹbẹ rí ẹ̀bà tó ń rántí ẹ̀ fún mi lánàá kàbí ẹ̀bà kọ̀ọ̀kan.
Yes, yes.
I didn't eat it. Kí ni mo jẹ sùn? Nothing. Àárọ̀ ìṣù tí mo fẹ́ jẹ tí mo ti jẹ bí mélòó kan. Mo dẹ̀ lè decide kí n máa mú gàrí. Mo kọ̀rọ̀ oúnjẹ mi ò ń ṣe special food at all, but in case I see fruits, I prefer fruits to food.
So, Daddy, What would you like people to remember you by?
For
Yes, in full.
what that is so important
Yes. Okay.
to be a man, that he is a man of principle. I want people to remember that I have principle. What I decide to do, that is exactly what I will follow. 2, I don't feel I'm dishonest at all. I want to be remembered for honesty
And
as much as
integrity.
possible. Integrity, honesty. Remember for that. Then industry, hard work. Remember that this man, if it comes to working, when I was still strong, holding cutlass, as principal, I was weeding, tilling farm. Industry is part of me. Honesty, very, very good. I want to be remembered for honesty, industry, integrity, not to be deceitful. People may say I'm not very jovial or something. Well, that's my nature. I can't shift my nature. I know I'm not very jovial, not very playful also, because tí n bá ṣeré díẹ̀ báyìí, ọkàn máa ti máa sọ pé mo ti ń ṣeré púpọ̀ jù.
Like you're wasting time.
So tí n bá ṣeré níwọ̀nba díẹ̀, people will play and play and play and play. Before I play for some time, my mind will change. So I like to work rather than wasting my time doing some useless play. That's all.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
In conclusion of this video log with Baba, can you give us words of wisdom? I call it ọ̀rọ̀ àgbà, ọ̀rọ̀ ìṣítí fún àwọn ọmọ wa àti fún àwa náà.
Well, ọ̀rọ̀ àgbà ó dà kí èèyàn wà kó máa make sure pé òun consider other people mọ́ nǹkan tó ń ṣe. Don't be selfish. Má jẹ́ pé jẹ́ tiẹ̀ nìkan. Lóòótọ́ self-defense, self this, but don't be too selfish. Àwọn ọmọ wa ká máa sọ fún wọn, ká má wà too selfish.
Self-centeredness.
Self-centeredness is a bad trait. 2, as much as possible, help people whatever way you know you can help people. Morally, financially, in whatever form you feel you can help people. Try to help. God knows how to compensate you for all you are doing. Full stop. Immediately, I believe that our children should learn to work hard. Make sure that they work hard. Help people, and don't rely too much on people. When you rely too much on the person, if you are disappointed, it will be devastating. You can't rely too much on people. Whatever little you are able to do, just continue to work. To bá rely léèyàn, to bá disappoint àwọn ẹlòmíì tí wọ́n wà dejected, wọ́n wà frustrated, is because of disappointment. I don't rely too much on people pé ẹni ló máa ṣe nǹkan báyìí fún mi. Ìwọ wo background mi náà. By the time I needed help, that was university. Àwọn tí mo fẹ́ lè fọ́ sọ̀yà pé àwọn eléyìí ló máa kó mi owó yìí fún mi tí wọ́n máa yá mi lówó yìí tí máa wọ́n fẹ́ èèyàn wọlé èèyàn wọ. So I've learned that èèyàn má rely lé èèyàn kan. Ẹni tó expect ó lè jẹun ló máa help wọn. So let your children know that they should not rely too much on people. Do their own side and leave the rest. Full stop. Àwọn tí mo lè ṣàpè láwọn young ones nìyẹn pé work hard all the time. Kò dáa kéèyàn wà too playful. Play. Play dáa náà, òun relax èèyàn jẹjẹrẹ ṣùgbọ́n if the play tó bá engage téèyàn engage ara ẹ̀ in too much play, you not be able to do anything tangible.
When we came back from Ijebu-Jesha
Yes.
and we came back to Idowa, what happened next?
Well, Chelsea, ready? Thank you very much. When we arrived at Ijebu from Ijebu-Jesha in Oyo State, my wife then, Kehinde Aderibambo, the mother, was already trading. She has become a traveler trader. She was trading from the northern part of western region to Lagos, engaging in garri selling, trading in fufu and other products like that. So when I arrived, I almost had no wife again. I didn't want to stop her from doing her business. She was already in that business, going up and down. So for some years, when returning from her trip, she will branch, spend maybe 1 or 2 days, travel to Lagos to go and sell her garri before she prepare again to go back to where she's going to buy another set. So I didn't enjoy it at all. More so, as at that time, there was no, my children, we have not yet made up our mind. Some of them I was preparing for hostel and so on. In fact, I think some of you were in the hostel.
We didn't go to hostel
Hostel.
until late.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
until late.
as a result, I was making up my mind. This woman already getting old, too, busy doing the trading up and down. I think I need to marry another wife. So, luckily, one day I went to Union Bank. I met a colleague in the university, Adeyeje by name. So, when we were in the university, she was married. And at that time, I was also married. No love affair, nothing. In fact, we were just classmates, and because we were all from Ijebu, and we were in the same department in the university, we happy to know and begin to cooperate in our studies. For example, we are studying education together. We are studying English together. She was studying French as plus her English and education. I was studying history plus my English and education. So the two subjects we had to meet and discuss and so on. So, but after leaving the college, the university, I joined federal service. She too joined federal service. She was posted to Udubulu,
Federal College, Government
Federal
College.
Girls College, Udubulu, Federal Government College, Udubulu,
Yeah.
Secondary School. I was posted to Ijebu-Jesha Divisional Teacher Training College, teacher training. So, in fact, no communication, nothing, until one day when I saw her in the bank, greeted her, she greeted me and so on. I asked for her station. I told her I was newly posted as a principal to Imodi Jasi Comprehensive, to go and open a comprehensive high school. So I promised her that anytime I'm going to, or I was going to Abeokuta, because at that time, as a principal, you will be going to Abeokuta not less than once a week. It may be twice or more than that. So one day I branched at her school and saw her, discussed with her, what about your husband? Said, well, everything is okay. I left like that. But the next time I visited her, she was at home. When I got her, there I discovered that there was no husband anymore. So there the discussion started. But you were married when we were in the university, and said, that's long ago. That has been. So I happened to know that there was no more husband. It was after that I introduced to her that I can marry her. I could marry her. So after some time, we agreed. She started to come to me. I started to go to her like that. For 4 years, we were together. Very nice woman, very pleasant and accommodating. Very, very. She had no issue.
No children.
All her ambition was that maybe by marrying this one to have our own children. So after marrying for 4 years, and we try all efforts, what I've never tried with any woman in life, I tried with her. I traveled to Ibadan. We spent a whole week or 2 weeks, receiving treatment. She was receiving treatment, and the doctor said, I too, Dr. Abiola Oshodi in Ibadan, said he wanted to treat me also. Okay. I have my children. He said, no. We had all those. And after marrying for 4 years and there was no issue, I was the one who advised her, seeing her mood, not happy. Look, maybe I'm not strong enough to satisfy your yearning. I promised her that if she marries another man and she has children, I will be one of the people who will come and celebrate with her there. So anyhow, we didn't separate formally. So no, when she has been saying that after 4 years, no, could doing job, not pregnant for a day. And my
All in all, aside your biological children, you had other children.
yes,
that you didn't even give back to, and you trained, and we still hear them say it. We still see them, different cousins. Um, I cannot remember any many of my cousins that did not live with us. Auntie Toyin, Auntie
Falake,
Folake, uh, Busura, Dapo, Keke, yeah, Rashidat.
when we were
So
going to Ijebu,
yeah,
ọmọ sister nurse,
yes.
ó bá wa lọ, sister nurse yìí,
Eh,
sister nurse Ọ̀ṣọ́,
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
ọmọ ẹ̀ ó bá wa lọ, òun ló sọ pé òun jẹ ẹ̀wà tó jẹ ẹ̀wà ìjọ kan tí gbogbo ara ẹ̀ bó ṣìkìtì ní Ìjẹ̀bú-Jẹ̀ṣà.
So,
There are so many of them.
so many, so
Mm.
many.
Mm.
So we just want to, in wrapping up, I want to say, Daddy, thank you so much for taking this time out. I know you are a very, very, very busy man. At 86, you are busier than maybe some 35-year-old people who love to lounge. But you are not the lounging type. You like to work and to work hard. And from the story that you've told us, we know that has really paid off for you. Well-meaning people, they come to your home, humble abode to come and reference you, to come and say thank you for what you have done in their lives. And we, your children also, we know the impact that you've had in our lives and you are still having in our lives. So we just want to say thank you so much for everything that you have done, what you have passed through for you to be sitting here, and everything that you have done for us and you are still doing for us. I'm just going to say that we wish you many, 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 many more years in divine health and
Amen.
in wisdom,
Amen.
in sound mind.
Amen.
That's what we are wishing for you.
Amen.
And as our Father and us being your children, we want to see more of you. We want to.
Inshallah.
I decided to take my children off school to be able to do this.
Mm.
Yes, so I decided that this is what I want to do.
So
I want
we
my
can recognize Baba.
yes, I want my children to come and see Baba and to meet Baba. When they came, they were very young, but now they could understand better. And I was talking to them. I said, "I'm taking you to my father's house. I'm going to take you to the king of our village," and all of that. So they are hoping to meet the king anyway, but we'll find time. Maybe Baba will help us to organize that. Maybe tomorrow I'll go and meet the king and say thank you for everything that he's been also doing for Baba. So thank you so much, Daddy. We really appreciate you for everything that you have done for
Thank
us,
you very
for
much.
all the sacrifices.
I'm very proud of you, my children. Like I was saying, I'm happy to have children who have taken a lot from me. A lot from me. I can't think of any of you, my children, who you can call a lazy person. No, no. Whatever the situation, whatever the circumstance, not only that, I regard all of you as being honest people. You don't deceive people. All this you have taken from me, I think I've learned a lot.
Thank you.
And I'm very, very happy and proud that wherever my children go, they will never be found wanting at all. Any situation. Do you know that Sheriff, the struggle they make before they can remove him from his working place in Lagos, it was much. And what were they thinking of? Say, this is the rightful person to take, because the father, the Agwewe was telling me, this father, we know the children will be like the father. It's not the type of deceitful father that will bear deceitful children and so on. So they were telling him, yes. Anyhow, she left me, and again, without another wife. I happen to know another woman. By that time, a student of mine at Ibefin Lado Comprehensive High School, Madinat Olayemi, very good student those days, and she had left the school. I too had left the school where I taught her. So I met her, discussed with her. She agreed to marry me. So that's how I came to know the third wife. Since that time, she had issues. In fact, she improved herself a lot from my own encouragement and so on. She was able to graduate, and she had 4 issues for me, but we have lost one. That's Kapaya. My first daughter with her is Buki. Buki was our first daughter, and my own daughter from her side. After that, we had Assis Adebambo. Then there comes Kapaya, followed by Said. All of them went along the line of their brothers and sisters. They all went to school, they studied hard, and had a very good education. Except that Kafaya, they lost Kafaya sometime after she has finished I think she finished NC, and she was teaching in school, Mudi Jasi. One day she came back complaining of headache and other things, and eventually she died. So that was that. So in all, I had 3 wives. The first one died. The second one left me, and it's the third wife that is with me now. That's all.
Thank you. So all in all, so while still talking about children, I think with my mom, if I can remember, you had about 8 children together, was it? I wasn't too young, but that was, but
You have got it right.
I got it right.
Yes. The one that followed you died when you were at Ijebu-Ode.
I think 2.
And another one
Mm.
when I was at Ijebu-Jesha.
Mm.
So Can be 2 ló la fẹ́ lose.
2 or 3. The one after there were 2 after me before you had Hakim, if I remember correctly. I'm really young. Then after Hakim, there was somebody before Yetunde. Because between me and Hakim, there are, if it's not 7 years, then between Hakim and Yetunde, there's 6 years. So I
Well,
think.
I can remember 2, sir.
Okay.
If it's
So I don't know, but you don't need to include that. You don't need to include.
it's not the type of deceitful father that will bear deceitful children and so on. So they were telling him that it is Ọmọ Adébánbọ̀. Yẹn gangan náà wọ́n fẹ́ wọn fẹ́ any other kìíní ètò òun recommend àwọn fẹ́ Ọmọ Adébánbọ̀ yẹn gangan tó ń sọ pé ọmọ bàbá Adébánbọ̀ àwọn gangan náà wọ́n fẹ́. Ṣèrífù kẹ̀ ó dàbí pé ó ti wà satisfied pẹ̀lú ibi tó wà evidence pé ẹ̀yin náà ti kọ́ pé kíní inú mi dùn gan.
Thank
Inú mi
you.
dùn gan.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
you are really a good.
Yeah.
And I thank God.
Greetings from my brother Alhaji Adebambo, Abiodun Adebambo, Hakim, Yetunde, even Sheriff. They know that I'll be doing this interview with you because I told them all. So they all.
It's good. It's good.
Should I start? All right, thank you. That's the end of the video log or interview, if you want to call it that way. We've been sitting at the residence of Chief Alhaji Pa Salihu Adetola Adebambo. He's been sharing his experiences, his life, and his career, his knowledge, his wisdom with us. And I hope that we are going to learn from this video. Thank you so much for watching.